Welcome to another interview, this time in a different format. So, this is not a regular Vitor Vicent podcast. This is focused on male health. And the reason for that, we are in Movember. And for those who don't know what is it, we're going to talk in detail. For those who are familiar with it, I'm very proud of you because it's a great initiative. And I have a fantastic guest to kick off these conversations, which will take place for the next, let's say 30 days, just to make it simple. So Harry Clough is running the Tube Lines in London. He was actually running today a short one, and the short one means 25 kilometers. Looking at him, I wouldn't say he was running for 25 kilometers. So I'm very, very surprised to see how fresh you look. How come?
Yeah, you should see my feet. They're not the same. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just it makes you feel better when you run. I think, especially for me. So I kind of, you come back with the endorphins, so you're sort of more pumped up than you were before. But yeah, I'm pretty tired actually. To be honest, it's a Sunday. I've done 3 this week, so it's definitely coming to the end of the week where I'm sort of a bit knackered. But yeah, not feeling too bad.
And on top of it, I just noticed that yesterday you had a couple of pints with your mate. So
Yeah, so I do an annual charity rugby match. So it happened to be last night, which is sort of 5 o'clock kickoff, which ended up being quite a late one. But it was for Movember as well, so it was all for a good cause. But yeah, so it made today's run slightly more difficult, which probably don't need to make any more difficult. But got to enjoy yourself at some point.
yeah. So okay. So I was talking to a friend yesterday. He's Spanish. He lives in Hungary, and I was explaining him what is Movember. And he never heard of it. I think it's something more popular in the English-speaking world, and I have viewers from here, from Ireland, England, but also from continental Europe, also from South America. So would you let us know what are you doing for Movember?
Yeah, of course. I mean, so Movember is, as I say, it's a movement in the UK, I think, predominantly. But it started out, I think, as just everyone growing a moustache, and it was just to get the conversation talking. Mostly for men, to talk about their mental health and how they're feeling, and sort of to raise awareness for that. So Movember, the charity, started just simply by getting people to grow moustaches. So everyone has to shave. So I've freshly shaved on the 1st of November. And then obviously as the month goes on, then your moustache grows and you keep shaving the rest. So you just have a moustache. And yeah, it's just basically to get people talking, get rid of the stigma. And yeah, just to really sort of spotlight it for a whole month and help everyone out effectively. And that's why I'm doing the Tube London Underground Challenge is for the charity Movember. So I'm raising money for them and also trying to raise awareness.
And you are doing the Movember when it comes to athletics or physical activity. So you are running the Tube Lines. And how did you start with that idea? Like with something that someone told you? You were just trying to come up with something new. How did you get into this?
Yeah, so so one of my friends ran one of the Tube Lines about 6 months ago. He just ran the I think he ran the Circle Line, and just put it on his social media. And I was like, that's actually really cool. And I was speaking to one of my housemates about it, and he was like, well, why don't you run all of them? Because I was looking for a challenge to do. And I was like, that actually sounds pretty good. I'm not the first person to have done it. It's worth highlighting. There's a couple of people who've done it before, but everyone's done it in slightly different ways. There's one guy called Johnny Davies who did it sort of the most impressive way you can really do it. But yeah, so the idea was sort of born from my housemate, and I kind of just wanted to work out, who the best charity to do it for was. It was always going to be a mental health charity, and I've done different things for Movember before. I've ridden one of those bikes that they have in London from London to Oxford and back for Movember before, and done various things. So yeah, it was a bit of a no-brainer, and it just seemed like a really cool challenge that actually not many people have done, and something that would actually really push me and actually be a bit of a struggle, not just something that are sort of in my comfort zone.
So you are not new to Movember. When did you start?
Yeah, so I play rugby for a rugby club, and my rugby club's been doing it for probably 5 or 6 years, so quite a while now. And a lot of people, they will simply just grow a moustache and try and raise money, and you don't have to do, stupid, outrageous challenges. But it's been doing that for probably 5 or 6 years now in some form of way. Yeah, going on from it.
And how is it going from a personal perspective? Not only this year, but since you joined the movement, like what have you learned? So, what was the experience overall?
Yeah, it's been really good, and there's a great team at Movember who have managed to get my story out there quite a lot already, which is great. And I mean, to me, the main aim of it is for people to see that, be able to talk about it and to do exactly what Movember is doing, but highlight the issue and make it sort of more mainstream, I suppose. And I struggled quite a lot throughout my life with things like anxiety and things like that. And a big part of it that made it really scary was that I never heard anyone talk about it. I never knew that anyone else had it, and I didn't know what it was. So I think a big part of it is getting people talking about it so that people realize that, other people might have it, and also there's ways to deal with it. It's all, it makes it a lot easier. A problem shared is a problem halved, or whatever that saying is. So yeah, I think through that it's been really good. I've had people messaging me saying, that they've struggled with it and things like that. And I think, even just helping one person would be a great win. So yeah, it's kind of gone like that, which has been good.
So you are on this for, say, for a while, for 5-6 years. Have the movement changed since you started? And if that changed, what were the new things?
Yeah, it definitely has. I mean, it sort of, as I say, it basically started as people just growing moustaches, and it wasn't. I don't think it was really a charity at the time. It was more just a movement, as you say. Now it's a fully fledged charity, so they do lots of work to raise awareness and help people with mental health. They've also branched out to men's health, so they also help with men's cancers and things like that. So it really has grown, and it's now a huge charity. So if I'm not sure if you're based in London, but in London now there's billboards everywhere with Movember on it, and you can't really sort of go through social media without seeing it. So it really has grown massively. It started very big, sort of through sports clubs, and then it's now just branched out to almost everyone. And most people would see someone on the street with a moustache and be like, oh, you must be doing Movember, and it was during November. And if they're not, they just like having a moustache. But
yeah, it's funny because I joined a corporation about 2 years ago, just doing some boring job. But let's not get into that. The thing is, I joined in October, mid-October, okay?
I see, yeah,
of course,
everyone's warming up.
They knew me from the interview, and the interview was done on a video call, like what we're having now. But they didn't know that how I look. They just saw me once. And I remember on the second week, I just show up with a mustache, and everybody knew I was doing Movember, even though they just met me, for the last 2 weeks. So it's that popular.
Yes. Yeah, no, it's good. I mean, they're clearly doing a good job. That's happening.
So do you think Movember is here to stay?
Yeah, definitely. I think it just gets bigger and bigger every year, to be honest. And I think it's good. It's also a good time to do it. I think it's getting darker in the UK, and the sort of the light runs out. It gets dark about 2:00. So it's a good time to get people speaking and all that sort of stuff. So I think I mean they're smashing it, and they're all great, the people that work there. So I think it is just going to go from strength to strength.
Yeah, that's very positive. In terms of financial achievements, where are you at the moment? If you want to disclose, we don't need like a massive detail, but what have you attained so far?
Yeah, so well, this year for me personally, raising, we raised a couple of grand last night at this rugby match, so that was really good. And I mean, we're probably on close to £3,000 basically so far. So yeah, I'm hoping to raise at least 5. So we'll have to see. I mean, previous years when I did a cycle ride with my rugby club, we raised about £15,000, which is great. So yeah, it's kind of, I think the further along it goes, I think people are waiting to see if I can actually do it. So every time I do one, it sort of trickles on a bit more donations, because people are like, oh yeah, he's actually doing it, not just saying that he's going to do it. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, hopefully that the most as possible. And also a lot of it is also raising awareness, so it's not just about the money, but obviously that really helps the charity.
Yeah, that was exactly my next point in terms of awareness. Why do you think it's that vital these days to point out that this topic is important? We cannot skip it. We need to keep it on the table. We should avoid stigmas. Why do you think it's that crucial?
Yeah, I think it's just really important because I think, well, firstly, people struggle to talk about it. It's not just men, but men obviously do struggle a lot, probably more to just even talk about their emotions. And yeah, it's a shame that it has to be sort of like this because it would be great if it didn't. But the problem is that that's the thing. Loads of people just don't speak, and that's when it sort of builds up and builds up. And I think awareness is almost the most important part because once someone's aware, like I got awareness of other people having it, and it's not just me and what it is and how I can deal with it, then you can deal with it. It's kind of coming to terms with it and actually understanding what's happening to you or what's going through your head is just a chemical reaction. I suppose it's not something wrong with you. It's just that it's something that happens. And I think with social media and everyone sort of seeing into everyone's lives and everyone's lives seeming perfect on through a social media lens, it makes it much more difficult for people. And people are always comparing themselves to others and things like that. So I think it's great. And actually, when everyone's closer together, everyone's happier. If if you trust more people and you speak to more people, you're opening up, and it just makes everyone enjoy each other's company more and makes you better effectively if you're struggling.
You mentioned one thing that I find very interesting, that for us, men, it's a struggle to share our emotions, what's going on in our head. Whereas for women, it's very different. Actually, they are very vocal when it comes to that. Why do you think there is this gender difference?
I think I don't know. I mean, I think women might just be like, I don't know, warmer and just like I don't know, just more open. I think men are sort of, there's quite a lot of macho, like, oh, I'm fine, like I don't want to speak about my emotions and that sort of stuff. And yeah, to be honest, I don't really know what it is, but there is definitely a sort of a difference, and it's it's a bit of a shame. But I think it's just one of those things that men find it harder to speak about these sort of things and talk to people about it.
Yeah, and it's across the board. Like it's not only in England, Ireland, or it's like that everywhere you go, and it doesn't matter the generation. There's our generation, it's our parents' generation. Maybe it got a bit better, as you said, with social media, because people are more open about their heads, and they share what's happening in their lives. I think before there was a lot of stigma, and now you can be more open about, let's say, your private life with some limitations, obviously, but I think we are more used to be exposed than we were in the past.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's I mean, I think it's got better as well because it's much more, as you say, that the stigmas, there still is a bit of a stigma, but it's a lot less than there used to be. And I think, go back 20 years, mental health wasn't a thing. And basically, if you said you had something, wrong with you in that situation, you'd probably, don't know, you wouldn't ever mention it at work, or you probably wouldn't mention it to your friends. And now it is much more acceptable, and as it should be. And people can talk to people about it, which is brilliant. So it's going forward in the right direction. And I just think, as I said, sort of there's other sort of issues that come in, which is like social media and things like that can make people's mental health worse because they think that everyone lives in these seemingly perfect lives. But yeah, it's definitely going in the right direction, I think.
Yeah, I think those are the attention seekers. Whether it doesn't matter if they want to show that their life is fabulous and they have a nice car and they travel to exotic places, and then there are people who just want to sell the idea that they're constantly struggling, and all they want is an audience. I think both are a problem because all they want is someone to talk to, and there are other ways to do that are not through social media.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me now talk about your initiative. So where are you at the moment? How many lines have you run?
Yeah, so I did the Victoria line today, which was the 4th line that I've done. So I started with the Metropolitan line. That was the longest one I've done so far. That was 68 kilometers. So that one wasn't too short. And then I've done the I can't remember now. I've done the Victoria line, the Metropolitan line, done the Northern line, which was that was about 46 kilometers. And then I've done the Hammersmith and City line, which was about 37 kilometers. So the first week I've in a week and a day I've run about 100 and almost 170 kilometers, I think.
That's quite a lot, huh?
Yeah, it's definitely more than I've ever run before in a week. But it's yeah, I wouldn't recommend it to do it often. But it's
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's been interesting. I've got more this week, so it's yeah, there's 11 lines and I've done 4, so that's the sort of where I'm at with them.
Yeah, that's what I want to ask you. So there are 11 lines, you run 4, so you are like what, 30%?
Yeah, I think I'm slightly over that because well, one of the lines, which is a brilliant line, is the Waterloo and City line, which is 2.5 kilometers. So that makes it, that is just the dream line. But I'm almost halfway. So I think once I run on Tuesday, I will be halfway. The problem is I've got two 70+ kilometer ones, which are going to be difficult. But yeah, so that's sort of the big hurdles still to go. But yeah, after Tuesday, I'll be halfway.
And I think in one of the lines, or maybe in all of them, I just started to follow you maybe, 5 days ago. You were dressed up as Super Mario. Why is that?
Yeah, it's because Mario's got a moustache,
Ah,
and so I've got a few costumes that I'm going to be wearing for some other ones as well. So I'm getting his Father Christmas at some point in the next week or so, and it just makes it a bit more fun. I think it's kind of obviously just sort of raise awareness, and if you see someone running through London wearing a Mario costume, it's quite a good way to stand out like a sore thumb. So yeah, I think that's just part of it, and it's just quite fun. It adds a bit of a sort of a better element to the running. And yeah, although the moustache in that Mario costume was an absolute nightmare. So, but yeah, got a lot of weird looks, a lot of comments, and yeah, it's quite entertaining.
yeah, that's what I want to ask. Any peculiar reaction from people?
Yeah, I mean, loads. Because I mean, I was running for sort of 5 hours, and so I mean, a lot of people were like, "Where's Luigi?" A lot of people just like beeping their horns, or a lot of kids were like, "Oh, it's Mario!" Like really excited, which is quite nice. And yeah, just like I mean, probably about 100 people said something because I mean,
Mm,
I'm running through the busiest parts of London on that day, and so you do stick out like a sore thumb. It also was the day after Halloween, so I think people might have just thought I'd sort of not gone to sleep and was coming back from a Halloween party or something like that. But yeah.
Uh, what have you struggled the most since you started, other than, let's say, tiredness and all that? Is there anything that you are battling to get it done?
Yeah, I mean, the really long ones, they're long, and I think when you get to, I don't know if anyone's ever run a marathon, if you run a marathon, you sort of get to like 35 kilometers in out of or 30 kilometers in out of the 42, and that's when you start sort of struggling. So I had that a bit actually on the first one where I sort of just I have these new trainers, so I didn't really run them in properly. They sort of were giving me a bit of jet, but apart from that, it's fine. Just like little niggles, I've actually started using ice baths, which I've never used before.
Mm,
Absolutely freezing, but they literally, I mean, they're remarkable. You go in one, and I mean, I think it's also supposedly really good for your mental health as well. Using ice baths, but even just for stiffness, it's incredible. You go in, you come out like you've sort of been sat on the sofa all afternoon. So yeah, there's always going to be bits that hurt, and there's bits you got to push through, and just eat loads of food, which is actually quite nice. It's good excuse just to keep eating. And yeah, I've been eating a lot of Greggs when I've been running, which is probably not the best fuel. But yeah,
Have you been lucky with the weather?
very lucky. I mean, it's been so dry in October. I mean, I don't want to curse it, but yeah, I think it's been perfect. It's not too hot. Well, it's not hot at all because it's October, but and slash November, and it's been dry. So, I mean, normally when it rains, it's a real nightmare because that's when you sort of get really bad blisters.
Yeah.
And obviously, you probably have to go a bit slower because it's slippery and all that sort of stuff. So, I've been very lucky so far, and long may it continue.
Yeah, it's the same here in Ireland. It's actually quite mild. I think they
Yeah.
predict 15, 16 degrees, which
Really?
in
Yeah,
November
it's
is
crazy for this time
unthinkable.
of year. Yeah, it's really weird actually. But yeah, so selfishly, it's very good for running.
Yeah. What have you enjoyed the most with the running? Just with the running, not with
With the
the,
running,
yeah, with the rest.
yeah, probably finishing them. No, I have enjoyed them. I think it's I haven't seen most of London, even though I've lived in London for 4 or 5 years now. So I've seen a lot of London already. I mean, seen probably over 100 tube stations already in different, obviously across the whole of London. So it's quite cool seeing that. And then some of these tubes I go on a lot, but you're obviously underground, so you never see what's above the ground. So yeah, I think just seeing cool parts of London and bits that I've never even been to. So that's quite good. And then yeah, I think just I've had a lot of my support from my friends and family and things like that, and that's been really nice. And that's kind of what keeps me going. Basically, is people sending in messages. I basically take a photo outside. I'm not sure you've seen them, but outside every stop.
Yeah, so that, yeah.
So I put it on my story, and then I also post it. But then that sort of gives people an indication of where I am, obviously. And I've had people, come out their offices when they've seen I'm nearby to say hi and things like that. So that's been really nice.
So when you get into, let's say, Golders Green tube station, just set an example. Do you walk into the tube station itself, or you just stay outside and take a selfie?
Yeah, just outside. So it's very stop and start, but all the tube stations have, the name of the tube station on the front entrance. So that's basically, I run up to it, stop, take a photo, and then carry on going. But it is very stop and start. And some, the Piccadilly line that I'm doing next week has over, I think, 40 something stops. So it's there's a lot of, it's very much like run and then stop. And obviously I'm using maps on my phone to find the directions because I don't know the way to go for any of them. So I have to change it every time. So it is a lot of stopping and starting, which I might be a good thing, to be honest, because when you're running a lot of distance, you don't want to go out the blocks firing too quickly. And you also, it's good to have breaks. So it's like sort of every couple of miles, it's a stop. Yeah.
Well, just one more personal level. I didn't have this one in mind, but since you mentioned, you were saying that you struggled with anxiety and mental health issues for a couple of years or something like that. So what have you done to overcome that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I've tried a lot of things. I think I found out, and I obviously I still do drink, so I haven't quit drinking, but I found out that drinking triggered it quite a lot, or would make it worse. So I know now that if I'm feeling bad, that drinking is not the best idea to do that. But things like running has been probably the biggest thing for me. Like getting physically fit. I was a lot heavier about a year ago, and I was just in a bit of a bad place. And I was like, you know what, one of my friends got me to do some gym classes, and I just got really into it, and I lost loads of weight, and I just felt better. And it wasn't because like physical looks, I felt better mentally and physically, obviously. But running now for me is like a version of that, where I don't run with music. I just go out and just in with your thoughts. And even if you're feeling rubbish at the beginning, it normally by the end of the run, you sort of you've justified it in your head, you've spoken about it in your head, and then you come back feeling good because you've got the endorphin. So I know it doesn't work for everyone. It's not sort of a one size fits all, but running for me has been massive, and just exercise in general. So it doesn't have to be running, but any sport or fitness in that sense. And then, yeah, I think I've learned different things that make me feel bad and what I should do and what I shouldn't do. Like even like drinking lots of water, like that actually really helps. And there's so many things, I think, and that's like the beauty of growing up, is that you learn as you go along, and you accustom to it. And no matter where someone could obviously start having sort of mental health issues when they're older or whatever, it doesn't matter, but you do eventually learn, and it gets a lot easier.
Yeah, I actually had a guest who is a fitness trainer, and he said motion is lotion. So I found it one fantastic. I know it can be seen with different lens, but let's not get there.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, and I think it's not only the physical activity. It's when you finish, as you said, when you finish the run or the workout, it feels great. So there is this positive emotion about getting something done.
It's exactly that. And I think even if you've had a day where you've sat on the sofa for the whole day and you're like, oh, I've done absolutely nothing. But you go on a run and you're like, oh, well, actually, I've accomplished something today. It's fine. And it's great for that. And it's just so easy to do. All you need is a pair of trainers. You don't need to spend loads and loads of money on loads of kit. You just need trainers, and you need to be able to go out of the house and run. And then that's sort of the beauty of it. So yeah, no, I completely agree with that.
So as we come to an end, what will be your word of encouragement for someone to join the Movember?
Yeah, I think do it. I think, everyone I think knows someone who's struggling mentally or has a connection with someone. So it's always a great thing to do. It's obviously a great thing to raise awareness for. And even if it's yourself that's struggling, it's a great way and time to speak out to people. I think it's such an easy thing to do, but it makes such a big difference. So whether you're just like growing a mustache, or if you're just, I don't know, sharing it on your social media, or sending it to your friends or whatever, it's all has a big impact. So I think, yeah, just get stuck in. I think it's a great initiative, and it helps so many people. So it's a good thing to do.
Yeah, so if there's someone listening to us here in Dublin, maybe they can run the Lewis. The Lewis is a light rail, I don't know if you have been here or not. So it's not any similar to the tube. It's much more, it's much smaller distance. So maybe that's something
Have to
for
come
Irish
over.
people to think of. I couldn't do that myself. I'm happy with the mustache, but if there is someone with the abilities, maybe that, or do the train line. Since we don't have a tube, there's always some equivalent.
It's something you can do. And I think, it massively depends, what stage you are. If you've never run before, then you can even say you'll do a 5K for Movember. Like it's not all about doing crazy distances. It's just about doing something that's a challenge to you. And people will sort of acknowledge that. So yeah.
So if people are fascinated by Harry's initiative, I encourage now to donate. The link is in the description. My link is also in the description. People are fascinated by my mustache. I'm not, but still, it's a mustache and it's for a good cause. So whatever you prefer, I'll be very, very thankful. So Harry, I want to say a big thank you for joining this conversation. I hope I have more and more of that throughout the month. I think these chats, they help people thinking about mental health, approaching it from a different angle. They are simple, but sometimes they are an eye opener for people who never thought of these things.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's great. Well, thank you very much for having me. It's very kind.
So, and also, if you don't want to miss the upcoming episodes, just subscribe. You'll get notification once you open YouTube. YouTube is not only about US elections. There are other topics. I think mental health matters more than that. So please keep an eye on these conversations. And there'll be another one on Thursday, guys. So I hope you'll join us. I think it's 1 hour later, so it will be 7 p.m. Irish UK time. See you then. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.